Сайн байцгаана уу хүн үзэгчдээ. Өнөөдөр манай дефакто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Америкийн Улсаас Монгол улсад суугаа онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт Элчин сайд хадагтай Галт оролцож байна.
Женифер Зимдал Галт Монгол улсад Америкийн Нэгдсэн улсаас суух онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт Элчин сайд. Америкийн Нэгдсэн улсын ерөнхийлөгч асан Барак Обама Женифер Зимдал Галтыг Монгол улсад суух Элчин сайдаар нэрийг дэвшүүлсний дагуу 2015 оны 10 дугаар сарын 5-ны өдрөөс үүрэгт ажиллахдаа бие сор эхэлжээ. Тэрээр гадаад харилцааны албаны ахлах төвчний мэргэсэн дипломат ажилтан бөгөөд томилолдоор Белград, Тайпей, Мумбай, Бээжин, Шанхай хотууд болон Брюсселд ажиллаж байжээ. Вашингтон төрийн департаментийн олон нийтэд харилцах төвчөнд ахлах зөвлөх, мөн Зүүн Аз номхон талын төвчөөний олон нийтэд харилцах асуудал хариуцсан дэд захирлын алба хашиж байсан. Хадагтай Галт Батлан хамгааллын үндэсний их сургууль болон Жон Хопкинсгийн их сургуулийн олон улс судлалын сургуулиас магистрийн зэрэгээ хүртсэн ба Хятад, Франц, Итали, Испани, Сербиэлээр ярьдаг.
Good evening.
Good evening, Jargal. Thank you so much for having me on your program this evening.
It's a great honor
pleasure
to have you on my program. And now you are almost living about, right? It's one of you said the interview last one, huh?
Yes, my very last opportunity to talk to the Mongolian public.
It's always very important when American ambassador comes and then leaves, and it was 2.5 years you were, and why 2.5 years? Usually they were for 3 years. What happened?
I am indeed leaving short of my intended tenure, but I have been asked to return to Washington to take up the position of Acting Assistant Secretary of the State Department's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs.
Education and Cultural Affairs.
Yes, it is the bureau that manages all of the U.S. government's exchange programs. So I will be monitoring the soft side of American foreign policy.
And it's our version of Deputy Minister?
You know, I would say no. I think our system is slightly different. So we have a Secretary of State and we have a Deputy Secretary. And then under them, each of the bureaus is headed by an Assistant Secretary of State.
Okay.
So whatever that level translates into.
Okay. And you will be covering more United States relationship with other countries in education and cultural field.
The Bureau covers the entire world.
Yep.
So I will have the opportunity to engage with many countries, but I will always have a soft spot in my heart for Mongolia.
Yeah, we are very happy to have our own very person there. Ambassador, 2.5 years you spent in Mongolia as ambassador was a very important period of our democratic development. As you know, we have been, ups and downs. In particular, last 2 years are quite downs in the sense that, again, we have instability of the government. We have more foreign debt before, government paying debt with debt, and not very much explaining that we have not paid that back, actually, in reality. And yet, even we have the fraction inside of the party that we believed very strong, want to have a split when they have power. So that's all this is happening. So it gives me always a question that I would like to ask you, that democracy, that we very much based on our system, ourselves, on the value that we are sharing with you, learning from you a lot. Is it like this, or look at our neighbors, they are not that democratic as we believe based on our value, yet they are economically doing very well. So how do you see that?
The United States is very proud to partner with Mongolia in building your democratic institutions. We have been engaged in an effort toward building a more perfect union for 242.5 years. Mongolia's democratic journey is very short. And you still have a long way to go to perfect your democracy. I feel very strongly that in my time here, I have witnessed both parliamentary and presidential and an unprecedented presidential runoff election, all of which proceeded peacefully, transparently, fairly, in accordance with Mongolian law and international standards of election, I feel very positive about the future direction of Mongolia's democracy. As you know, we believe that democracy is by, of, and for the people, and I have been very impressed with Mongolians' commitment to democracy and willingness to participate in democracy. You know, Jargal, that I have emphasized youth outreach during my time as ambassador, and it's been a great privilege for me to meet hundreds of young leaders all across Mongolia. And I have been very impressed with their willingness to stand up and make a difference in their society. And I think that is an indication that Mongolia's democracy has a strong foundation and will continue to build its institutions going forward.
Indeed, I have seen really very good efforts and good results of Mongolian youth to be leaders. In that regard, several interesting programs. I myself was working in some of them as a president of MASA at that time, and now as an ex-president of MASA Mongolian American Graduates Associations.
Yes.
Yeah, indeed, we believe, we see that if we see longer term, then we are on the right track in political system. But it is not necessarily reflecting in the economic track, you know. And now we are having more debt, less transparency. With the huge money we have taken, some part we don't know clearly. But what is the result of those debt? And we yet public demand, the government giving a full report on what happened. And through not much transparency in economy, we have problem. How do you see the problems we are facing in economic track field?
I have prioritized economic engagement in terms of the various elements of our very broad bilateral relationship. And the reason for that is because we believe very strongly that there needs to be a stronger role for the private sector in the economy in order for it to develop further. We are very grateful to partner with MASA, the U.S. Alumni Association. You are a 2,000 strong group of vibrant young leaders who have brought back to Mongolia your experiences in the United States. One of the things that our alumni have brought back is the spirit of volunteerism. We believe in the United States that the government can't and shouldn't do everything for our citizens, that there is a very important role for people to play in enhancing our government, making our economy work better for us. So we have worked very hard to bring more U.S. private sector engagement into Mongolia. We believe that while politically difficult, the IMF package is the right ingredient to get Mongolia's economy on a path towards sustained economic growth. We have been very supportive of that package. We are also working very hard to bring a second Millennium Challenge Compact to Mongolia. The Millennium Challenge has chosen to focus in the water sector. The Millennium Challenge will be investing in increasing bulk water supply for the city of Ulaanbaatar. We are just now working with the government to put together a group of other donors and investors who, with the Millennium Challenge Corporation, will create a $700 million water system for the capital city. The Millennium Challenge $350 million second compact will represent the single largest U.S. investment in Mongolia. And the fact that it can leverage a $700 million project, we think will be a significant inducement to greater private sector involvement in the economy.
This is just for one project, $320 million US.
The $350 million will have several components, which will include bulk water recharge to the city. as well as some recycling projects.
And you said the total project would be over $700 million. You will raise a fund?
That will include other investors
Like?
and donors coming in. We are working with the Ministry of Finance to bring other donors to the table. Those donors will invest in a new central wastewater treatment plant for the capital city, which is a huge need.
So $700 million total project, and half of which Millennium Challenge number 2nd
Yes.
phase to Mongolia. Of course, the number 1 helped a lot Mongolia to also a very difficult time.
Yes.
So it's a quite large sum for a small country like Mongolia. We very much appreciate, and we know all the ambassadors were working hard for the first one. You are completing now the second one. When did the project, you think, will start officially?
We hope to sign the second compact within the next 6 to 9 months. There will be multiple pieces to the water system project. We would hope that construction would begin perhaps early in next year.
You have mentioned trying to bring more American investment to Mongolian
Yes.
economy.
Yes.
Will they be somehow involved in this project?
Yes, the Millennium Challenge by definition is a public-private partnership, so it will bring U.S. private sector engagement. Apart from the Millennium Challenge, we have been working very hard in the agricultural sector to bring U.S. private sector engagement. We had a U.S. trade delegation to Mongolia last year. We took a Mongolian trade delegation to the United States this year. We expect another U.S. trade delegation next year. And we're focused in agriculture, renewable energy, logistics, a variety of sectors. We are working with Mercy Corps to implement a $10 million project to grow a meat export industry for Mongolia.
Exactly. I was
And
at the
that
beginning of
project
the
is
project.
getting off the ground.
So
yes.
how is it now going on? Because it's a very substantial part of our Mongolian economic diversification.
It's a very important part.
Yeah,
and
how is it going on now?
I think it is progressing very well. We are working with various IMAGs around the country, with herder groups, with U.S. meat processing companies. It is a long-term project. It is a huge long-term project, but I think it will be another significant investment and also an investment in Mongolia's diversification, which is a very important goal.
Ambassador, this kind of work really pays back. I remember in 1998 or so, with USAID. At that time, I was chair of Mongolian Board of Foreign Investment, and we exactly were talking about construction business. And we have been selecting about 30 or so Mongolians, and exactly like this agriculture delegation, we took them to several construction fair in Alaska as well, so that cold place.
Mongolia's state partner.
And what happens now is, it turned out those people who were there, whom I didn't know that time, now I know them, and they have been already serious construction companies, suppliers. So I think this feedback comes even after 20 years, quite after.
Well, I'm glad you brought up construction because we are also working in the construction field. We're working with the Ministry of Education to build kindergartens. So this year we have already built 2 kindergartens. I had the great privilege of cutting the ribbon to open both of them. The first was here in the capital city in Bayanzorg district. The second is in Zaminud in
What is the difference of that
Dorengoviana.
kindergarten? Is it U.S. standard or what is it?
Yes, so it is designed by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Alaska Division and built by Mongolian construction companies with local content.
Wow.
So they are spectacular examples of U.S.-Mongolia cooperation.
Cost-wise is okay? Cost-wise,
Yes.
comparable to Mongolian other companies' kindergarten construction costs?
I don't have the exact costs, but part of the intent of the project, number one, is to help meet the Ministry of Education's need for schools.
Excellent.
We are very proud to be partnering with them. Also, they are built to Arctic insulation standards, so they are energy efficient. They are beautiful,
Very good.
very warm, healthy,
Children-friendly.
welcoming, child-friendly environments, absolutely.
Excellent.
The other part of the project is to build the capacity of Mongolian construction firms. So we now have 2 firms that can build to international construction standards.
Mongolian 2 firms.
Yes, so we are very proud
so
of
this
those projects.
Know-how is staying in Mongolia.
And we will continue to build more
Yes.
schools going forward.
Ambassador, now we have just touched few sectors where huge investment, training, know-how is happening or
Yes.
growing in this country.
Yes.
We are very thankful for that. And I hope Mongolians are learning like this construction case more know-how.
Absolutely.
Now my question is, after so many years of people exchange, now we have a lot of Mongolians traveling to US, a lot of Americans coming here. And Americans, we have no visa like many other countries we do. But Mongolians have a visa, and recently you have been talking about the visa regulations in which you said to follow more US rules will give more chance for more Mongolians to travel. Please tell us about that part.
Thank you. So with the foreign minister, I launched the Travel Responsibly campaign. This is a collaborative effort between my embassy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to try to gain back the trust of Mongolian travelers. In our new administration in Washington, there is an intense focus on immigration and ensuring that we are protecting our borders. And one element of that focus is that there are far too many Mongolians living illegally in the United States.
Any statistics in that?
I don't have the exact number, but it is a very high percentage
Yes.
of the current Mongolian travelers who are not respecting the conditions of their visa category. So the purpose of our campaign is to try to change the behavior of Mongolian travelers. So we urge every Mongolian citizen when they apply for a U.S. visa, and we are very happy to support legitimate travel. Students, tourists, business people, family members going to visit.
What can we do so that really be traveling or responsibly in case of other countries, other than what we can do here? In the country?
I would say 2 things. Number 1, tell the truth. All we ask of our visa applicants is to tell us the purpose of your travel to the United States. That's what we ask. Second is we ask Mongolian travelers to think about their fellow citizens when they are traveling to the United States. So working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have developed a series of public service announcements. I would urge you to show them on your show, Jargo, if you would like to.
I would love to, yes.
They are available publicly. We'd be happy to provide them. And those show Mongolians who have traveled responsibly and returned to contribute to Mongolian society.
Тэгэхээр миний хувьд болохоор яг мэргэжлийнхаа дагуу 20 дугаар курсыг төгсөөд Америкийн нэгдсэн улсаас сэтгүүлчээр суралцах боломж олдоод тэтгэлэг хөтөлбөрт хамрагдаад тэгээд 100% тэтгэлэгтэйгээр суралцах боломж олгосон. Нью-Йорк мужийн Итака коллежид нэг жил суралцчаад хурж ирсэн байгаа. Тэгээд яг уу мэргэжлийнхаа дагуу сураад бас өөр ямар хичээл байдаг вэ гэдгийг үздэг ч юм уу тийм сонирхолтой програм байсан болохоор их өгөөжтэй байсан надад. Одоо гэхдээ тэнд үлдсэн бол яг хуу тухайн үед би яг жоохон байсан болохоор ч юм бодож исэн л доо энд ингээ үлдчих юм бол бүх юмнууд нь те гоё юм байна. Америкт боломжийн одоо их орон гэж нэрлэгддэг гэж бодож исэн. Гэхдээ яг шийдээд буцаж ирсэн цаг хугацаанд амжиж үргэлжлүүлж сураад төгссөн байгаа. Юм нэгээр дуусгүй гэж ярьдаг шүү дээ. Тэгээд мэдээж би нэг жил сурчаад буцаад миний хувьд бол бас харамсалтай байсан, удаан сурмаар байсан боловч одоо би дахиад очиод те сурвалжлах хийх гэж байна. Тэгэхээр зөвхөн өөрийгөө бодоод зөвхөн одоо би энэ чинь харалчий гэж бодоод бүхэл бүтэн хөтөлбөрийг ч юм уу зогсоох бас боломжтой байд юм а гэдгийг олон залуус ойлгоосоо гэж бодож байна.
...2012 онд визэнд орж исэн. F1 виз авахар орж ирсэн. Тэгээд Америкийн нэгдсэн улсын төр засаг маш их итгэлийг хүлээж надад бол 5 жилийн виз өгч ирсэн. 1 жил хэлний бэлтгэл, 4 жил одоо бакалавр олон улсын харилцааны бакалавр авах тэр одоо боломжийг олгож ирсэн. Тэгэхээр ерөнхийдөө Америк руу явж байгаа Монголын зорчигчд бол аялагчд маань тогтоосон хугацаанаас л өмнө тухайн төр засгийн одоо итгэлцлийг алдахгүйгээр тогтоосон хугацаанд эргэж ирэх нь чухал. Хэрвээ тэгэхгүй бол асар олон хүмүүст хааштай ч юм ирээдүйд аялах хүмүүст зорчигчд одоо саад болж байгаа гэж үзэж байна л да. Тэр тусмаа бүр гэр бүлийн гишүүд ч гэдэг юм төрөл төрөсөд хамаатан сад нь одоо дараач цаашдаа суралцах аялах тэр одоо боломжийг л хааж байгаа.
I'm exactly for that because I lived in the US, studied there as you know, and got my MBA and travel a lot, and as soon as you follow the rules and regulations, it's a very friendly country.
And it's very easy to return
Very
again
much.
for
you
a
just
future
go
visit.
and apply even without any invitation, say that I want to go this, and they will give you long-term
So
visa.
we are urging responsible travelers such that in future years it will be easier for Mongolians to travel to the United States.
Let's have a little bit broader view of this regional security and cooperation. And of course, our two neighbors happen to be also as large countries like the United States, and they have own positive and negative things with your country also. But overall, Mongolia is a small country in terms of population, and we are supporting, of course, peaceful cooperation in the region. In that regard, how do you see our foreign policy? Do we have any small impact, even though? How do you find Mongolian possible role in that region?
Mongolia is an essential security partner to the United States. Mongolia's third neighbor foreign policy is something for which we have great respect. The United States is very proud to be one of Mongolia's third neighbors. And we believe that Mongolia has very strategically reached beyond its immediate neighborhood and is now a significant contributor to global peace and security. We are very grateful for Mongolia's sustained commitment in Afghanistan, Mongolia's sustained commitment to UN peacekeeping efforts in South Sudan and elsewhere. These are substantial contributions for a country the size of Mongolia. So we have great respect for the government of Mongolia's commitment to those sustained contributions.
And we try to be a good also a third neighbor on the other side. And our announcements about that neutrality for our President Bogdorch had announced from the UN Tribune that Mongolia will have a neutrality policy.
Right.
How do you see that policy?
Remember that. It is up to the Mongolian government to determine its own path, its own future. We watched the development of that policy very closely. For our part, we are very grateful to partner with Mongolia not only in security terms, but in support of universal human rights. You know that during my tenure here, we have gotten Mongolia to be a very productive partner on the UN Human Rights Council. We are very grateful for Mongolia's support of human rights around the world.
Speaking about human rights, the current president, Batulga, announced recently he would like to reinstall back capital punishment. U.S. is a country with different states because it's a federal country.
Yes.
Some states have capital penalty, some have not. And very recent interesting study says that those states, for 10 years they studied, those with capital penalty had more casualties or the killing, 5.5 per 100,000. Those who has no capital penalty, 3.3 only. So it not directly interrelated with the killings. So what is your account as an individual? So
I would say that it is up to Mongolia to determine whether or not it wants to reinstate the capital penalty. The United States system is quite different from Mongolia's, and I think that Mongolia needs to make its own way in this decision.
Okay, just one question about security. To our neighbors would suggest Mongolia to be a member of Shanghai Security Organizations, which is political, economic, and security union of not only our two neighbors, but India, Pakistan join now. There is a more and more pressure on Mongolian politicians to join that Shanghai Security Organizations. How do you see that?
Again, I think that is a decision for Mongolia to make. We are very grateful for Mongolia's contributions in Afghanistan. As I said before, Mongolia is a NATO partner country, which gives it reach beyond its immediate neighborhood. We believe those are very strategic decisions on Mongolia's part, and we will continue to support Mongolia's contributions to global peace and security.
Okay, thank you. No, I'm almost close to the end. My question is, now what had happened in China, recent Congress, it reminded me a lot the Party Congress of Mongolia before, where everybody, I mean, this was very similar content, you know. People are sitting with their official clothes and, you know, listening to the leader and approving it 100%, and, which is not the case anymore in this country. How do you see that impact of that new vision of the President Xi Jinping will be reflected on Mongolia-China economic relations?
I think I will leave it to my Chinese counterpart to comment on his government's policy. For my part, again, I would say that it is important for Mongolia to have a positive relationship with its two neighbors. Very important for Mongolia's political and economic sovereignty, which we fully support. Going forward, I wanted to say one final thing, and that is a little bit about my youth outreach.
Okay. Because
you are involved in MASA, I take great stock in our U.S. alumni, our alumni of U.S. exchange programs, and am very proud that we have launched 2 new exchange programs during my tenure. So we have the LEAD program, Leaders Advancing Democracy for Young Leaders, and we have added a high school exchange as well, which is called Future Leaders, or FLEX.
What is that about high school?
We have 10 high school students, Mongolian students in the United States this year. They're living with American families and attending an American high school. Beginning next year, we will have 20 students every year. So I believe very strongly in the power of exchanges to...
Yeah, I do. You are talking about the State Department program. But
yes, these are both State
Department
programs.
Or at the state level, this sort of programs, including Colorado. We are both from Colorado.
Denver and Ulaanbaatar are sister cities. The Denver public school system sponsors the Walt Jenkins High School Exchange.
Jim Wagenlander.
We are very, very supportive of.
These are my very old friends, and I'm always very happy because to know their consistency doing that, and they are sending students to Colorado, to Dondgavi,
and bringing students here.
Them from Dondgavi there.
Yes, I've had the pleasure of meeting groups 2 years in a row.
So when we talk about our cooperation with the U.S., we always have in mind the peoples-to-peoples relations.
Absolutely.
Which is, I think, stronger than. And I think it's the base.
It absolutely is. It builds the foundation on which our bilateral relationship is built.
And I'm so happy to know, to be a part of what you do, that having youth outreach, more and more youth comes from 2 sides, and there are new great leaders we are brewing kind of.
Yes.
And that's, I think, a great, very distinct, great big color of your career, I think, happened in the cooperation between two countries, and I was so pleased to know you and work it together. And
It's been a great privilege.
I would like to wish all success in your future career.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jorgel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
За хүн төлөвчтэй өнөөдөр манай дефактоны төлгийн зочноор Америкийн нэгдсэн улсын Монголд суугаа одоо ингээд буцаж байгаа. Онц бөгөөд бүрэн эрхт элчин сайд хадагтай Женифер Galt оролцлоо. Их баярлалаа.